In just a moment, I'm going to introduce you to a simple and unusual marketing method which can bring you more new customers in the next 45 days than most online marketers see in an entire year. What you're about to discover is a new and very different front-end marketing method that generates steady and predictable sales for you from new customers, regardless of your product, regardless of your price, and regardless of your marketplace. A bold statement, I know. The secret behind this method is in the unique message structure, which turns your prospect's desire for a result into an intense buying demand for your specific product or service without any selling. In fact, as you'll see, it works without you ever even talking about your product or service. Now, what you're about to discover is not theory. It's the same marketing method that I've taught to thousands of entrepreneurs that's generating daily sales for hundreds of different types of products and services for marketers today in 23 different countries around the globe who are launching and growing exciting businesses in over 65 different markets and niches online. Many of these folks I'll introduce you to later in this training series. Now, this has nothing to do with any whiz-bang marketing software or tactic. It has nothing to do with any kind of newfangled sales funnel model or setup, and it has nothing to do with the latest marketing trend or fad. The method I'm going to share with you is unlike any of the common online marketing and selling methods you may have heard or been taught. No sleazy, scammy, high-pressure tactics, no cheesy lead magnets or free bribes, and no hyped-up, exaggerated claims or obnoxious pitches. None of them. Instead, the method you're about to discover creates a high volume of daily sales for you from brand new customers and does it while educating prospects and delivering value, building you a solid marketplace reputation and growing you a large tribe of customers that adore you and buy from you over and over. Hi, my name is Todd Brown, founder of Marketing Funnel Automation and creator of the E5 Camp Masterclass. Welcome to this free training series. Now, after over 15 years in the world of direct response marketing, coaching, and consulting for many of the most respected marketers online, I've been blessed with the amazing fortune to guide new and experienced marketers in the creation of more 6- and 7-figure customer acquisition campaigns than any other coach I know of online today. And I've done it by teaching the method I'm going to share with you in this training series, called the E5 Customer Acquisition Marketing Protocol, or E5 Camp for short. As you'll see, the E5 Camp method generates new customers for you by creating emotional and logical demand for your product or service. And it creates this buying demand using a simple but unique type of information that prospects value and crave, called EBM content. You'll see how together with something else I'm going to show you called your unique mechanism, this content uniquely positions your product or service in the mind of your prospects as the only place they can experience the benefits they want, creating a buying desire for your product within prospects before you ever even offer your product or service. It's a beautiful thing in action.
It allowed me to go from this entrepreneur that's kind of walking in, hey, here's some things I kind of studied from this guy or whatever. But when Todd breaks out the whole framework, you show up and you say, hey, this is a proven model, and we're going to rock this.
We have moved from like 120 people who were following and clicking on our emails to 24,000 people who have now clicked through on the message on the list.
So it helped us to reach more customers in a unique way and therefore grow the business, which allows me to buy more toys, right? I mean, have more fun, spend more time with my family.
Having the information from the E5 Camp is helpful in kind of setting the strategy for what I'm going to do now that I'm focusing full-time on my internet marketing business. And really what that means for me is that I don't have to go to a job, obviously 9 to 5, and have my potential limited by someone who doesn't know what my potential is.
And I listened to Todd, what he had to say in the organization of it, and I thought, my God, this is, anybody, if I can do this, literally people say it all the time, but if I can do this, anybody can.
Now, first, it's important for you to know that the E5 Camp method is not some get-rich-quick approach. I absolutely despise that whole ridiculous world of push-button fast riches. So yes, getting new customers with the E5 Camp method will require some initial work on your part. But if you're willing This has the power to absolutely transform your business, your income, and your life. I'm talking about a marketing method that ensures you experience the excitement of having a predictable and growing income from your online business. I'm talking about having the pride of knowing you're a real entrepreneur with a flourishing venture. And I'm talking about you having the peace of mind and confidence in knowing your business and income are only going to continue to grow and grow. Now you'll see how the E5 Camp method does all of this for you and how it can bring you more new customers consistently than anything you may have tried or learned in the past. And I'll show you exactly how and why it's working so well for hundreds of marketers around the globe. Folks like Eddie Coleman, for example, who used the E5 Camp method to launch a new info products business and generated over $1.5 million in just 12 months. Now generating an average of $333,000 every month using the E5 Camp method. And John Hutchison, who used the E5 Camp method to launch a physical products business and generated over $105,000 in sales in just 53 days. Today, bringing in over $63,500 every week using the E5 Camp method. And Aqib Ahmed, who launched a new coaching business and generated just over $1 million in his first 11 months. Today, averaging over $10,000 in sales every day using the E5 Camp method. And experiences like these and the many others that I'll be sharing with you later in our training series are being reported almost weekly now from folks using this approach, folks who were once struggling to generate new customer sales. And yes, this will work for you too, whether you're just getting started online with a new business, have been frustrated with or let down by other marketing methods in the past, or are ready to scale your business and grow your new customer sales at a rapid rate. Now, over the next 4 videos, starting today, we're going to cover what the E5 Camp method is and how to use it based on where you're at right now in your business. You'll learn how to use it so you and your marketing message get attention even in a crowded, competitive, and saturated market. You'll learn how to use it so that you create hope and a deep buying desire within prospects that they see can only be fulfilled by your product and no others. You'll learn how to use it to create raving fan customers that appreciate you and your method of teaching them throughout your marketing. And you'll learn how and why the E5 Camp method works to bring you daily new customer sales without you having to be a great copywriter, savvy marketer, or slick salesperson. So are you ready? We've got a ton to cover, so let's get started. Now, every successful entrepreneur knows without consistent new customer sales, it's near impossible to grow or sustain any business. So how do you get a prospect to buy your product or service and become a customer? Not theoretically, and not what type of funnel or web pages you have in place or what you offer them, but what do you say in your marketing campaign to lead a prospect to eagerly buy from you? And not just one prospect, but many prospects that have never even heard of you. How do you daily move these folks to want your product or service enough to pay you for it, so you have reliable sales and so you grow a larger and larger list of customers, all without being salesy or aggressive? Well, you've likely heard you need a sales funnel, right? And while this is true, things have changed. Today, simply having a funnel is no longer enough, because today, having a funnel for your marketing is commonplace. Almost every decent marketer has a funnel set up to do their marketing. Odds are your competitors included. So simply having a funnel for your marketing no longer gives you any kind of advantage in the market. It no longer ensures that your marketing stands out, that it gets attention, and that it actually turns a visitor into a buyer. Fact is, today, it's never been easier to set up the web pages for an online funnel. There are more training courses and YouTube videos on this topic than ever before. And we now have software like ClickFunnels, Leadpages, Samcard, and all different WordPress plugins that make publishing funnel pages brain dead simple. So why is it that with all of these advantages, we still see more than 8 out of 10 online marketers struggling to see consistent new customer sales? Well, here's how my buddy, founder of ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson, put it. He said, "We're getting really good at building funnels. When I look at a lot of funnels, what I feel is lacking is the ability to actually sell and do it in a way that's cool, that serves people and inspires them to want to follow you." And Russell is absolutely correct. Truth is, while most average marketers today understand the mechanics of how to set up the pages of a funnel and the purpose of each page and know plenty of online tricks and techniques, what they're missing is a proven process for laying out the marketing message within the funnel that educates, delivers value, and generates the sale. How about you? Can you say honestly that right now you have a proven, reliable, and predictable process for delivering a marketing message that generates lots of new customer sales while building goodwill, while creating repeat customers without any obnoxious selling? Well, if not, have no fear, because you will by the end of this video series. Now, something else to recognize is that today, because of how easy it is for almost anyone to create and publish web pages and funnels, it's now even more difficult for average marketers using the common marketing approach to generate steady sales in most markets. Because as you know, there's now more competition than ever before. There are now more funnels being published in most markets than ever before. And lots of the funnels that your prospects are exposed to are simply filled with hyped up, exaggerated claims and promises, making your prospects even more skeptical of online marketing claims. And that's why right now is the perfect time and environment for you to be using the E5 Camp method, because it turns the entire marketing process on its head. Instead of using hype, it uses a type of education. Instead of screaming a louder promise, it presents a compelling marketing idea. Instead of hyped up claims, it demonstrates unique positioning and provides proof. Instead of relying on a hardcore sales pitch, it creates the desire to buy. And instead of leaving your prospects feeling icky, it creates goodwill and a long-term relationship. And that's why the marketers using the E5 Camp method to generate new customers and grow their businesses are quickly becoming some of the most successful entrepreneurs online today. Folks like Tim Donovan, for example, who used the E5 Camp method in the multi-level marketing world and generated over $3.5 million in just 8 months. And John Root, who used the E5 Camp method to launch a new software business and generated over $42,000 from his very first webinar with just 232 registrants. And Todd Herman, who used the E5 Camp method to launch his wildly successful 90-day year coaching program and generated over $2.4 million in sales, bringing in over $800,000 in the first 20 hours. And I've personally used this same method to launch and grow 5 separate successful businesses, producing tens of millions in personal sales, with my most recent software startup being acquired, all because of the E5 Camp method. Now, I don't want you to be intimidated by any of this or any of the big sales figures from me or my students, because for me, it's far from how things began. In fact, I don't think I could have started with more handicaps or have been faced with more obstacles along the way. See, I grew up in central New Jersey in an average family with a pretty average childhood. My pop was born in the Bronx and worked in the garment center in New York City, and my mom from Brooklyn worked days as a receptionist for a local eye doctor. Now, in middle school, I was diagnosed with a learning disability, so I struggled all through high school. So when I applied to college, I was turned down by every school. I ended up going to community college, and after taking 3 years to get a 2-year degree, I was finally able to get into Montclair State University, where I studied nutrition. After graduating with that kind of degree, the only job I was able to get was at a new health club a few miles from where I was living, starting at just $8 an hour. Now, while there, I met and got married to my incredible wife, Kelly, and over the next 2 years, we were blessed with 2 daughters, Samantha and Gabriella, just 17 months apart. Now, with a wife and 2 toddlers at home, I quickly realized I needed to do something different if I was ever going to be able to provide for them the way I wanted. I'd always dreamed of having my own business, but I always felt I wouldn't really be able to pull it off. Maybe you too have had that feeling at some point. It was a family tragedy that finally pushed me out of my comfort zone. See, Kelly's father was diagnosed with terminal emphysema, and in just a matter of weeks, his health almost completely deteriorated. Every time our phone rang, my heart would sink, thinking that it was going to be the call about his passing. And then, finally, one Saturday morning, while Kelly was out walking, I got the phone call. Only it wasn't about Kelly's dad. It was about her mom. Her mom had suffered a heart attack and passed away. And even though we moved Kelly's dad down to us to care for him, just 8 months later, he passed on as well. And it was heartbreaking, especially seeing Kelly in so much pain. And it was then that I came to see how life is too short and too precious to not attempt to do something bigger and better. At that moment, I knew I wanted to have more free time to be with my daughters so I could watch them grow. I knew I wanted to be able to buy Kelly the nice things I felt she deserved. And I knew I wanted to have freedom and autonomy so I could try to experience this one life on my own terms. Despite feeling totally unequipped, I knew it was the time to start my own business. So with Kelly's full support, reluctantly, I made the decision to jump into the world of online marketing. With no technical skills, no prospect list, and no connections, starting with just a few $100s and a fragile dream, I began to try to sell an information product online to massage therapists. And I remember like it was yesterday, after a friend helped me get the website up, constantly hitting refresh in my email inbox, looking for sales notifications, and not seeing any, wondering if something was broken or not set up properly. And by the end of my first year, I had made a whopping 7 sales. I questioned whether I would ever be able to make this internet marketing thing work. And if not, what else would I do? Would I be stuck working at the health club forever? I heard about these marketers making tens of thousands of dollars selling online and wondered, how were they making so much money? For me at the time, that's what having my business was all about. It was really about the money. I wondered what they were doing that I wasn't. What do they know that I don't? Maybe you too have asked yourself those questions at some point. So with no idea what I was doing wrong, I began studying what other successful marketers were doing. And I modeled them. And things started to come to life. Slowly at first, but more and more sales were starting to come in. Over the following year, I generated just over $52,000. And $1,000 a week for me and Kelly at the time was life-changing. So much so that she encouraged me to take the plunge and quit my job at the health club so we could move our daughters to Florida to be closer to where my mom and dad had moved. And that's exactly what we did. And at first, it was amazing. I was making enough to cover my bills, working from home, and feeling for the first time like maybe I really could be a successful entrepreneur. Life was okay. But just a couple of months later, things changed online and my business started to go south. Internet marketing was becoming more popular, so more competitors started selling online, and it became more and more difficult for me to get my marketing noticed. It became more expensive for me to get website visitors as traffic costs began to climb, and my sales conversions and income began declining almost weekly. I tried to write better sales copy. I tried an extremely low-priced offer. I even tried different types of marketing funnel models. But no matter what I did, I couldn't seem to turn things around. I knew I didn't want to get caught up in doing anything sleazy, and I hated and was terrible at the aggressive selling stuff. But I had no idea what else to do, and I was absolutely stressed out of my mind. Well, that's when my buddy, Rich Sheffer, introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Mark Ford, who changed everything for me. See, Mark's been a partner in over a dozen businesses that have each reached the $10 million a year mark, 2 that have hit $50 million a year, and 1, Agora, that's generating over $500 million a year right now. Mark showed me that it's not enough to just have some sales message across a sequence of web pages, but that the real secret to generating lots of customers day in and day out in a cool way is in having a unique marketing message that doesn't try to sell, but instead educates prospects on a new way they can get the results they want, and then offers them the opportunity to experience that new way with my product. He showed me the simple pieces to this unique type of message and taught me how, if I combined it with something else that he called the big marketing idea, I could get attention, generate leads, and stimulate a buying frenzy in the market without having to resort to using any hype or typical scammy sales tactics. And once he showed me this, what I'm going to show you in this video series, everything changed. In that moment, my life changed forever. My business almost immediately turned around and took off. Sales started climbing. Within just weeks, I was getting dozens of new customers every day. I was soon seeing regular $5,000 and $6,000 days. I started getting a couple of emails every week from marketers wanting to joint venture with me. I even started getting invitations to speak on podcasts and at live events. And finally, I started to pass along to others the method that Mark had given me, what I now call the E5 Customer Acquisition Marketing Protocol, which brings us to here and now and to you. So, what specifically is the E5 Customer Acquisition Marketing Protocol? And how does it work? Well, the E5 Camp method is a multi-stage process broken down into the following 5 steps: examine, engineer, evaluate, enhance, and expand. All which lead to the launch of a unique customer-generating campaign. Unique because it's not the typical sales message. Instead, it introduces a new idea to your marketplace. It presents what prospects see as a new way to get results, educates prospects on how and why this new way or mechanism works, and then presents them with the opportunity to get that mechanism with your product, the only place it can be found. And in case you're wondering, yes, no matter what you offer, I'll show you how to spot and name this new mechanism for your own product or service. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you in this first video, so we'll be covering that in our next video. For now, I simply want you to understand that unlike the typical sales funnel, with the E5 Camp method, you're communicating with prospects as an educator and advisor. And because you're not talking about a product, but instead educating on a new mechanism for getting results, a number of fantastic things happen. 1, prospects are open and receptive to your message and aren't guarded the way they are with a traditional sales message because you're not selling, you're educating. 2, prospects begin to recognize you as an authority and view you as a trusted advisor, not some slick salesperson just trying to peddle your product. 3, you deliver value to prospects through your marketing message, tapping into the law of reciprocity, so you build goodwill and trust. 4, you give prospects hope that they can finally experience the results they want because you're sharing with them a new mechanism, something they haven't been offered before, something they see as the answer to why results have eluded them. And 5, you create a deep buying desire within prospects that can only be fulfilled by your product or service and no others. So through your valuable message, you eliminate all other options and you eliminate the need for prospects to shop around because again, they recognize why the unique mechanism will give them what they want and how it can only be found in your product or service. You see how powerful that is, right? Now, in this first little introductory video, I just wanted to introduce you to the E5 Camp method and why it works to generate new customer sales. We just scratched a tiny bit of the surface of what E5 Camp is and why it works. In the next video in our series, we're going to get down and dirty, and I'm going to walk you through the keys of engineering your own E5 campaign. We'll be covering exactly what the unique mechanism is, the 3 ways for you to identify and name it for your own product, and how to use it so you have an evergreen marketing campaign that brings you predictable new customer sales for months and months. Then, in video 3, we'll be covering the other 4 stages of the E5 customer acquisition marketing protocol, so you see how they work together to give you a campaign which perfectly matches your message to your market's desires, gives you a blueprint for launching your E5 campaign without wasting any time or money, and gives you certainty as you expand the reach of your new campaign so you get more traffic, more leads, and more customers every month. And whether you're just getting started online, have used other marketing methods in the past with disappointing results, or already have a 6 or 7-figure business and are ready to scale, this is going to change everything for you. Now, in the meantime, based on what I shared with you in this little intro video, I'd love to know what about the E5 Camp method you're most excited about. Go ahead and do me a favor and let me know by leaving a comment below the video. I'll be reading every comment and personally responding, and I'd love to hear from you. So that's all for now. I'll talk to you in a couple of days in our next training.